Getting a divorce in Illinois is actually simpler than you might think. The spouse filing must be a resident of Illinois for 90 days before filing for divorce. The divorce may be filed in a county where either spouse resides. Once the residency requirement is completed, a legal grounds for a divorce must be established. Both general and no-fault divorce are acceptable grounds for divorce. No-fault reasons include irreconcilable differences have caused the irretrievable breakdown of the marriage and reconciliation has failed, or further attempts at reconciliation are impractical and the spouses have been living separate and apart without cohabitation for 2 years. If both spouses consent, the time period becomes 6 months. The reasons for general divorce are impotence, adultery, habitual drunkenness for 2 years and/or drug addiction, conviction of a felony, willful desertion for 1 year, cruel and inhuman treatment, attempted poisoning or otherwise endangering the life of the spouse, infection of the other spouse with a communicable disease, and bigamy. Illinois requires a parenting plan for child custody. Sole or joint custody may be awarded based upon the best interests of the child and the following: preference of the child, the wishes of the parents, the child's adjustment to his or her home, school, and community, the mental and physical health of all individuals involved, the relationship of the child with parents, siblings, and other significant family members, any history of violence or threat of abuse by a parent, whether directed against the child or against another person, and the willingness and ability of each parent to encourage a close and continuing relationship between the child and the other parent. Marital misconduct that does not directly affect the parent's relationship with the child is not considered. It is presumed that the maximum involvement and cooperation of the parents is in the best interests of the child. However, this does not mean that joint custody is always in the best interest of the child. For joint custody, the court considers the following: the ability of the parents to cooperate effectively and consistently, the residential circumstances of each parent, and any other relevant factor. The parents shall prepare a joint parenting agreement, which may be a part of a marital settlement agreement, which specifies each parent's rights and responsibilities for personal care of the child and major educational, health care, and religious training decisions. The joint parenting agreement also includes provisions on mediation of problems and review of the terms in the agreement. Joint parenting does not necessarily mean equal parenting time. The physical residence for the child is to be determined by either an agreement between the parents or a court order based on the factors listed above. Either or both parents may be ordered to pay child support without regard to marital fault or misconduct. However, the court may adjust property division if a child is a victim of abuse by a parent. If the official guidelines are not appropriate, the following factors are considered: the financial resources and needs of the child, the standard of living the child would have enjoyed if the marriage had not been dissolved, the physical and emotional conditions and educational needs of the child, and the financial resources, needs, and obligations of both the non-custodial and the custodial parent. The court may require support including payment of a child's health insurance premium. Support payments may be ordered paid directly to the court clerk. Official guidelines for the amount of support contained in the statute are available. Driver's licenses may be revoked if support obligations are not met. Illinois is an equitable distribution state. Each spouse keeps the property that he or she owned before the marriage and any property acquired by gift or inheritance during the marriage. The court will distribute all other property without regard to fault, considering the contribution of each spouse to the acquisition or dissipation of the marital or non-marital property, including the contribution of each spouse as homemaker or to the family unit, the value of each spouse's non-marital property, the economic circumstances of each spouse at the time the division of property is to become effective, including the desirability of awarding the family home to the spouse having custody of the children, the length of the marriage, the age and health of the spouses, the occupation of the spouses, the amount and sources of income of the spouses, the vocational skills of the spouses, the employability of the spouses, the estate, liabilities, and needs of each spouse, and the opportunity of each for further acquisition of capital assets and income, the federal income tax consequences of the court's division of the property, any premarital agreement, liabilities of the spouses, including obligations from a prior marriage, whether the property award is instead of or in addition to maintenance, and any custodial provisions for the children. The court may award maintenance to either spouse for a time it considers just. Marital fault is not a factor. Those to be considered are the time necessary to acquire sufficient education and training to enable the spouse to find appropriate employment, the standard of living established during the marriage, the duration of the marriage, the age of the spouses, the physical and emotional conditions of the spouses, the income and property of each spouse, whether the spouse seeking support is able to support himself or herself or is unable to seek employment because he or she is the custodian of a child, any contributions or service by the spouse seeking support to the education, career, training, potential, or licensure of the other spouse, any marital settlement agreement, and any other just and equitable factor. At the request of either spouse or by the court itself, an order to a conciliation conference may be given if it feels there is a prospect of reconciliation. Visit us today at www.mydivorcepapers.com and click on Illinois at the bottom of the page. Let mydivorcepapers.com help you file for divorce today.